I'd never concretely thought of ever being anything but a parish priest and a pastor. Well, my favorite parts of being a bishop are always bring to mind people. People whose lives intersected with mine and that I was privileged to know. And of course, at the top of that list is Bishop John McCraith. I keep deep in my heart the gratitude for the welcome that he showed me, and the joy he showed me, and the quiet support that he always gave me. But I think of others, Sister Joseph Angela, who was our chancellor when I came into the diocese. After 10 years and probably celebrating confirmation 300 times, having confirmed probably 4,000 young people, I still look forward to confirmations. I still look forward to the encounter with the young people who I meet before they're confirmed, to reading their letters that they write me before confirmation, and recognizing that for a 12, 13, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, which is the typical age for confirmation, that this is a momentous occasion. I've been privileged to celebrate the sacrament of holy orders with both deacons and priests, and to recognize in those moments that I become a part of the gospel ministry of our deacons and the gospel and liturgical ministry of our priest in every event is very special as well. You know, we keep speaking, and this has come from the voice of the last four popes. The notion and the understanding that we need to have a new Pentecost. We, especially in the West, have grown so comfortable with our church that it's something we do for an hour on Sunday. And we're reaping the benefit of that when we see the one generation after another, each becoming a little bit less connected to the church, less connected to its mission, less connected to its prayer. And that's not what we're observing in places like India and Africa and Southeast Asia, where the church is growing and thriving. And we keep asking, what do we do? I mean, we go back to St. John Paul II's concept of a new evangelization, and keep asking, what can work in our culture and in our day and in our time with our media-savvy young people, with so many things that distract from the gospel message, and in a culture that's represented by a media that oftentimes is hostile to the good news and hostile to the values, the values of human dignity and human goodness that we're trying to promote. So every few years we got a new plan. Well, that new plan always comes back to the gospel. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. What has surprised me the most, I guess, and you know, I hate for that to be a negative, but it's the enduring or continuing saga of the church dealing with the aftermath of what's been exposed about the sexual abuse crisis, nationally, internationally, and locally. And every time we've had to confront that on any of those levels, you know, I kind of say a quiet prayer that, well, maybe this will be the point where we'll turn the page, we'll turn the corner, and we'll have fixed it. And I admit to myself that that's the wounds and the sin that involved are too deep. I do believe with all my heart that the church on all those levels, locally, nationally, internationally, is doing so much better. We're doing what we need to do to protect children. But the wounds that we continue to heal continue to surface. And not just from victims, but we continue to hear from the children of victims, and maybe even the whose lives and family structures were altered by something that horrific. And so 10 years ago, I would have believed there would be a point where we would turn the page. And I don't believe that anymore. But I hope to welcome that means we're still being instruments of healing. And that we have resolved the inattention or the negligence that brought those tragedies about. So it's good news and bad news. We're going to find our way, or re-find our way, or refocus our way at the table of the Eucharist. And so to continue to be steadfast and faithful to coming to celebrate the Lord's Supper, to celebrate Mass every Sunday with the community. Yes, I hear young people, I hear middle-aged people, I hear old people say, well, it's boring, or this priest can't preach well, or I didn't like the music. Well, that's important. We need to talk about that. But still, when we as a people put bread and wine on a table, and the priest who stands in the place of Christ prays with the community, we believe that God acts, that bread and that wine becomes the body and blood of Christ. The church has called it the source and summit of Christian life. And if we're not eating and drinking from that source, then we can't do all those other things in the world. We can't empower our families. We can't make our families holy. We can't transform society if we don't find that focal place.